After years of denying it, my best friend finally looked me in the eyes and whispered, "You know it's always been you, right?" My breath hitched as the room fell silent. Friends. That's all we had ever been. But as he reached for my hand and murmured, "Tell me I'm wrong," I realized I couldn't throw away because some people in my life know my main. I honestly don't know where to start, but I need to get this off my chest. I, 35 female, never imagined I'd be in this situation. I'm not proud of it, I'm still confused, and I honestly feel like I'm standing on a cliff edge waiting to fall. This is about my best friend, Daniel, 35 male, and what happened between us after almost 20 years of being just that, friends. No flirting, no weird tension, or at least I thought so, just a solid, deep friendship that had lasted since high school. We met when we were both 15. Chicago suburbs. Same lit class. He was that artsy kid who always had doodles in the margins of his notebook, and I was the quiet one who always had a book in hand. He made me laugh when I needed it most. We clicked instantly. Everyone assumed we'd date at some point, but we never did. It just wasn't like that, or maybe I just convinced myself it wasn't. We went to different colleges but stayed close. I moved to New York for work in publishing after graduation. He stayed in Chicago, working as a graphic designer. Our lives went in separate directions physically, but emotionally, he was still my person. We talked all the time, phone calls, texts, voice notes, video chats. Birthdays, deaths in the family, breakups, promotions, we went through all of it together. 5 years ago, he met Sarah. She was sweet, smart, and honestly perfect for him. They met at a friend's art show and started dating pretty quickly after. I met her the next time I was in town. She was kind, a little shy, but warm. I really liked her. I saw how he looked at her, and I thought, good. He deserves this. I never felt jealous. Or maybe I buried that too. Fast forward to last year. They got engaged. Daniel called me at 2 a.m. after proposing. He was crying, overwhelmed. I cried with him. He asked me to be his best woman. He said there was no one else he trusted like me. I laughed and said yes. I was happy for him. I truly was. Wedding planning kicked off. I flew back to Chicago often to help. I went to dress fittings with Sarah. Helped pick out the menu, even gave input on the playlist. Everything was on track. Then came that night. 2 months before the wedding. I was in town for the weekend. Sarah was away on a business trip. Daniel and I were going over some final wedding details. Just us. His apartment. I brought wine. We were on the floor, surrounded by post-it notes and color swatches. Music playing low. Like old times. We started talking about high school again. The people we knew. How different everything is now. There was this long pause in the middle of our conversation. He looked at me, really looked at me, and I could feel something shift. You know, he said, sometimes I think about what my life would have looked like if we had ever tried. I laughed it off. Nervous. Tried what? He didn't smile. He just said, very quietly, "You know it's always been you, right?" I felt my entire body go cold. Like I'd been hit with something I didn't see coming. My stomach dropped. He kept looking at me. Eyes soft. Serious. Tell me I'm wrong. I opened my mouth to speak and nothing came out. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to say he was wrong. That he was just nervous about the wedding. That this was late-night wine talk. That we were just friends, like always. But my silence said it all. He reached for my hand. I let him take it. His thumb was brushing over my knuckles, and everything in me wanted to pull away, but I didn't. I just sat there. Frozen. My brain was screaming that this wasn't okay. That he had a fiancé. That we had never crossed a line before. But another part of me, the part one didn't want to admit existed, was remembering every inside joke, every time he was the first person I called, every moment where maybe there had been more and I'd just ignored it. I finally stood up. Daniel, you're getting married in 2 months. He didn't let go of my hand at first. Then he did. He just nodded. I know. I'm sorry. I left. Got an Uber back to my hotel. Sat in the bathroom for an hour trying to wrap my head around what just happened. He texted later. Said he was sorry again. That it wouldn't happen again. That he didn't know what came over him. I didn't respond. Next day, I flew back to New York. I didn't tell anyone what happened. Not even my sister, who I tell everything to. He didn't reach out for a week. Then, finally, a long message saying he still wanted me at the wedding, but he understood if I didn't feel comfortable. That he was going to focus on Sarah. That he loved her. I told him I needed time. But I also knew I couldn't just disappear. I'd promised to be there. I didn't want to hurt Sarah. I didn't want to make a mess. So I went back. I stood beside him at the altar. I smiled in pictures. I gave a speech at the reception. I hugged Sarah and told her she looked beautiful. The whole time, he didn't look me in the eye once. Since the wedding, we've barely spoken. A few polite texts. A photo of their honeymoon in Italy. That's it. But here's the thing. That night won't leave my head. I still feel his hand on mine. Still hear those words. You know it's always been you. And the worst part? I don't know if I wish he hadn't said it. Or if I wish he'd said it years ago. It had been almost 4 months since the wedding. 4 months of silence, awkward texts, and me trying to move on like nothing had happened. I thought I was doing okay. I threw myself into work, went on a few dates, none of them serious, and avoided all thoughts of Daniel. Every time I caught myself replaying that night, I shut it down. I reminded myself, he chose her. He married her. He made his decision. And then came the call. It was a Friday night. I was at my place in Brooklyn, halfway through a cheap bottle of red and watching reruns of The Office. My phone rang. It was almost midnight. Daniel. I stared at the screen for a long time. My hands were shaking. I shouldn't have picked up. I really shouldn't have. But I did. Hey, he said, voice quiet. I didn't say anything. Just waited. I'm in New York. I'm downstairs. I thought I misheard. What? I'm outside your building. I didn't know where else to go. My heart stopped. I got up, walked to the window. And there he was. Standing on the sidewalk with his hands in his coat pockets, staring up at my window like something out of a damn movie. I don't remember walking downstairs. I don't remember opening the door. The next thing I knew, he was in my apartment, standing awkwardly in the middle of my living room like he didn't belong there. Like he knew he didn't belong there. I'm sorry, he said. I know this is crazy. Why are you here? He didn't answer right away. He looked tired. Like he hadn't slept in days. I can't stop thinking about you, he finally said. I've tried. I really have. But I come home and Sarah's there, and I feel like I'm living someone else's life. I sat down slowly, my legs weak. Daniel, you married her. I know. And I care about her. I do. But it's not the same. It's not this. It's not us. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something at him. I wanted to cry. But all I said was, you shouldn't have come. He looked at me like I'd stabbed him. Don't you feel it too? I stayed quiet. Because yes, I did. But I also knew this wasn't about just feelings anymore. This was about choices. And consequences. Then he said the thing that really broke me. She found the texts. I blinked. What texts? He rubbed his face. The messages I didn't delete. From before the wedding. The ones where I told you I loved you. The one where I said I couldn't breathe when I thought about marrying someone who wasn't you. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. She read them a week ago. She confronted me. I told her I loved her. But I couldn't lie. I told her I loved you too. I whispered, Daniel, what did you do? I left. He dropped his head into his hands. I walked out. Packed a bag and booked a flight. I didn't know where else to go. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He had blown up his marriage. Not just emotionally, but physically. He was here, in my apartment, like we were the ones meant to be. Like this wasn't complete madness. She's a good person, I said softly. I know. She doesn't deserve this. I know. And I don't either. He looked up then, his eyes bloodshot. So what do I do? I didn't have an answer. We sat in silence for what felt like forever. The wine on the table between us. The weight of years and feelings and bad timing pressing down so hard I could barely breathe. Then my phone buzzed. Sarah. My stomach turned. It was a short message, please tell me he's with you. I turned the phone toward him. He read it. Didn't speak. Another buzz. I just want to know. You don't have to lie for him. I just want to know the truth. He stood up, backing away like I'd hit him. I shouldn't have come. This was a mistake. I didn't stop him. I didn't say a word as he walked out. I heard the door close behind him. Then I finally cried. I cried for the mess. For the confusion. For the love I couldn't name. For the marriage he'd broken. For the friendship I'd lost. For the version of us that might have been, had he said something sooner. But mostly, I cried because I knew this wasn't over. It never really was. The next few days after Daniel showed up at my apartment were a blur. I didn't tell anyone what happened. I went to work like normal. I answered emails. Smiled when I needed to. Pretended like I hadn't watched a marriage collapse in real time. I didn't hear from Daniel. Until a letter showed up at my building's mailroom. Handwritten. No return address. I opened it at my kitchen counter, hands shaking. It was from Sarah. I figured you wouldn't respond to my messages. I understand. But I wanted to speak to you without shouting or crying. So here I am, on paper. I know he came to you. He told me he was going to. What you might not know is, this wasn't the first time. I found messages between you two a year ago. Nothing scandalous, just, too close. The way he talked to you. The way he never talked about you around me. I asked him back then if something ever happened between you. He swore nothing did. Said you were just old friends. Said I was being paranoid. I believed him. But here we are. I'm not writing this to blame you. I don't think this is your fault. I think you got caught in something that wasn't yours to carry. But I need you to understand, this wasn't a sudden thing. It didn't happen that night with the wine. It started long before that. He loved you the whole time. And I think part of you knew. Be honest with yourself. Take care of him. Or don't. I'm done trying to make someone stay who's already gone. Sarah, I must have read it 20 times. He loved you the whole time. And I think part of you knew. She was right. Somewhere deep down, I had known. I just didn't want to believe it. I sat on the floor with that letter in my lap and realized that this wasn't just about a moment anymore. This wasn't about that night, or that handhold, or the silence that followed. This had been building. Quietly. Slowly. For years. And here's where the next twist came. A week later, I got invited to dinner by someone I hadn't spoken to in years, Daniel's older brother, Matt. We'd always gotten along. He lived out in the suburbs, had a family, a quiet life. I hadn't seen him since before the engagement. I met him at a small Italian place in River North when I flew back for a quick work trip. He looked serious. Nervous, even. As soon as we sat down, he got straight to it. "I know about what happened," he said. "And I need to tell you something." I waited. "Daniel has a pattern. You're not the first." I stared at him. "What do you mean?" "He gets close to women he feels safe with. He latches onto them. He confuses that safety with love. And then he burns it all down." He took a sip of water, then looked me straight in the eye. "There was someone else. Before Sarah. A girl named Rachel. They worked together. She was engaged too." He got in between that. I didn't know what to say. I felt sick. "He doesn't do it out of malice," Matt continued. "He genuinely believes what he's feeling is real. But the moment it gets hard, he runs. He chases the next safe place." I whispered, "So what am I?" "You're his safety net," Matt said. "You've always been. You're the one he thinks will catch him no matter how far he falls." The food arrived. I didn't touch it. I left dinner that night feeling like my heart had been ripped out and handed back to me. I couldn't stop thinking about all the times Daniel had run to me. All the phone calls. All the emotional dumping. All the "you're the only one who understands me" talks. All the what-if glances. Was I just his emotional crutch? His fallback plan? I didn't want to believe it. But maybe I needed to. Later that night, I opened the last message Daniel had sent me. Just 4 words. "Do you miss me?" I stared at it for a long time. And then I started typing. But I didn't hit send. Not yet. Because now I wasn't sure what the truth was anymore. I didn't reply to Daniel's last message. Not for 3 weeks. I started typing dozens of times. "Do I miss you?" The answer was too complicated. Too heavy. What I really wanted to ask was, did you ever really love me, or did you just need me? But the silence didn't last forever. He showed up again. This time, it wasn't just uninvited. It was disastrous. It was Sarah's birthday. I hadn't planned on going to her party. It felt wrong. But she sent me a message out of nowhere: "It would mean a lot if you came. I think we should talk. Face to face." I almost didn't. But part of me needed to see her. To see what was left in her eyes when she looked at me. The party was at a rooftop bar near Wicker Park. Fancy, intimate, filled with soft lighting and white wine laughter. I wore black. I felt like I was going to a funeral. Sarah greeted me with a soft hug. She looked tired. But gracious. Like she was holding herself together with invisible thread. She introduced me to a few of her friends. We exchanged awkward smiles. A lot of people seemed to know who I was without needing to ask. I could feel the glances, the whispers behind tilted wine glasses. Then Daniel walked in. Late. Disheveled. Like he'd been running in the rain, even though it hadn't rained. He saw me and froze. Then he walked straight over. Sarah stood next to me. "Hey," he said, looking only at me. I could feel her eyes shift. "You weren't supposed to come," she said to him, calmly. He didn't answer her. He looked at me again. "I just need to talk to you." "In front of my friends?" Sarah asked. "On my birthday?" I tried to back away, to leave the conversation, but it was too late. People were watching. The music was still playing, but the energy in the room had turned cold. "Daniel," she said louder. "Tell me. Right now. In front of her. And everyone. What you told me 2 weeks ago." About what you want. He looked stunned. Pale. Sarah, no, you owe me this. After everything. The crowd was quiet now. Even the bartender stopped moving. Daniel looked at me. Then back at her. I told you I didn't want the marriage anymore, he said. I told you I wanted to be with her. Silence. I felt my knees wobble. Everyone heard it. Every word. It rang out over the clink of glasses and the distant city noise. A bomb. Sarah didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just laughed, this small, heartbroken sound, and then turned to me. And you? Do you want him? I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. I didn't ask if you feel sorry, she snapped. I asked if you want him. After everything. I don't know, I said, barely above a whisper. There it was. Truth. Sharp and painful. I think that's the worst part, Sarah said quietly. You both blew up my life. And neither of you even knows what the hell you're doing. Then she turned and walked away. Just like that. No final scream. No slap. No tears. The guests stared. Some followed her. Some just stood there in awkward silence. Daniel tried to speak, but I walked right past him. Out the door. Into the street. Into the cold. I didn't go back inside. Sarah blocked me. Not just on social media, on everything. I reached out once. Left a voicemail. She never replied. Daniel tried harder. He called. Emailed. Even sent me flowers once. The card said, we could still fix this. I didn't reply. We hadn't just hurt Sarah. We'd lied to ourselves for years. Hidden under the idea of friendship because it was easier. Because it gave us permission to stay close without the risk. But love that hides always finds a way to explode. I stayed in New York after that. For good this time. No more visits. No more late-night calls. No more what-ifs. Matt, Daniel's brother, texted me a few weeks later. Just 4 words. You did the right thing. I didn't answer. 6 months passed. Daniel sent one final message. I'm moving. Starting over. Just wanted to say. I'm sorry. For everything. I think I wanted you to save me. But that wasn't fair. I had to save myself. I stared at the message for a while. Then I deleted it. No hate. No bitterness. Just peace. This is what I learned, love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just a quiet choice. And sometimes, the hardest thing isn't letting someone go. It's realizing they were never really yours to begin with. So do I miss him? Sure. But I miss who we were before all the lies more. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all it ever was.